What's up, everyone? This is WWE NXT superstar Dominik Dijakovic, and you are feasting your eyes on Going In Raw.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. Last night's NXT was about establishing the dominance of new champions Keith Lee and Io Shirai, setting up new rivalries as Dakota Kai leveled Io Shirai at the conclusion of the main event, and Scarlett seemingly threw a challenge at the feet of Keith Lee. Larson, what did you think of the first episode of the NX Lee era?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, it was textbook NXT, if you will. You know, you had your good matches. You had kind of a newer thing now where they're trying to get a little more lighthearted stuff via Robert Stone brand. I mean, it was a perfectly enjoyable show. Main event was good. Keith Lee versus Dijakovic. Always put on fun matches.
Yeah. I thought one of the more interesting things to me was watching Io Shirai and Keith Lee in their respective matches. There's really no doubt that they are, in NXT's mind, the ones to beat. You know, I mean, I understand they're champions, but we saw a whole nother level with Keith Lee. The point of the Keith Lee Dijak match was showcasing that Keith Lee has really grown into becoming the champion. It's not just something that they have, hoisted on him with no rhyme or reason, which WWE is sometimes prone to do. But you see, and in fact, they even reference this, the sort of the build to him becoming champion, which included things like his Rumble standoff with Brock Lesnar, the Survivor Series fist bump. And last night against Dijakovic, it was far less competitive than we've seen between these two in the past. And that was the huge difference between this match, which was still wildly entertaining, and matches we've seen with them. Because obviously in Keith Lee's resume, Dijak, and that was the point of the match last night, Dijak was Keith Lee's best opponent. He always brings out the best matches. He pushes him to his limits. And so seeing that match and seeing just how dominant, and then afterwards with a Dijak interview, him saying, this is a brand new, this is a Keith Lee we've never seen before. This is another level of Keith Lee, and Karrion Kross is not at that level, which of course is prompting their match next week, Karrion Kross versus Dijak. And on the flip side, when I was watching the Io Shirai match, as you can see in the Steve notes, if you're following along with the Steve notes, Tegan Nox, every time she would make a comeback, she was almost immediately put back down. This was not a very competitive main event.
Especially towards the... It took Io going into the ring steps for it to become close to competitive. And that was within the last 7 minutes.
Yeah.
About the 15, 20 minutes that preceded it were not competitive in the least.
It was a lengthy match, but basically it was because Io Shirai was fairly deliberate in how she would put down Tegan Nox. Tegan Nox would get a short flurry of offense. Io Shirai would then just immediately put her down and then preen a little bit. So we saw new levels of confidence with NXT champions. And yeah, I think the rest of the show, as you said, the rest of the show was fairly textbook NXT. That we had what I would think is probably the blow off between Grimes and Damien Priest. I mean, Priest, after that match, he basically said as much. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, we had quite a bit of, I think, moving on last night. That I felt was that I kind of appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, Triple H, when he was talking about counter programming Fyter Fest with Great American Bash, says they needed a halfway point story wise between takeovers. That was supposed to be the point of Great American Bash. So doll it up in the pageantry of kind of pay-per-view packaging while it was airing on a regular NXT time slot. And I think that was part of the reason why that halfway point is to close the book on some stories, and start new ones. So,
yeah, I agree. It did feel last night like they were going to start. This is sort of, the first chapter of the build to, I guess I would assume, the SummerSlam takeover. Before we get into the recap, though, we want to welcome new patrons: Colin Branch and Graham Griffin, YouTube channel members Hamish Jarvis, Ghost Protocol, Tori Riley and Vincent Millage, and Twitch subs Cortez52, LV Rage VL, and Captain Sin and Alex C for all the gifted subs today on the live stream.
Yes, thank you very much.
Twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. We are on the road here on Twitch to 500 subs. Once we get there, Larson, we'll be doing our 24-hour stream.
Yes, and one advantage of joining us for our Twitch stream is before we start recording the show, we have some banter. We talk to the audience here, and we were talking about notes, and I finally found the first time I took notes in the format I still use.
When was it? What was the date?
March 14th, 2017.
This is the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was around it's about a year after we started the Patreon, I believe. Patreon was started in 2016, right? Yeah,
that sounds right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, because somebody in the Twitch chat suggested you make a digital book out of all your notes. That'd be hilarious. That'd be something else right there.
I mean, these are still relatively bare bones compared to what they eventually led into, but it's the same format as opposed to just a segment. That's how the notes used to be. What the segments were.
How many pages?
No other information.
How many pages? Your notes are usually what? 4 pages? 5 pages?
Yeah, 4 or 5 pages, I'd say.
Let's say
for NXT, it's about 5. It's 4 whole pages in like a sentence.
Let's say it's 5th page. Okay, let's say it's 5 pages because Raw goes 3 hours. Let's say it's on average 5 pages.
Yeah.
All right. That's been 4 years?
About 3 years.
3 years.
3.5 years. If in the current format, yeah.
So just on weekly TV, if we just take 3 episodes of boy, that's hard to guesstimate, huh? 52 weeks.
52 weeks. So that's about 250 pages. Double that is 500. NXT will be a little bit. We're probably talking 700 pages a year. 700 to 800 pages a year. Not including pay-per-views. It's probably close to 1,000.
4 years?
Probably close to 1,000 with pay-per-views. Yeah, that's just per year. Yeah,
it's like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 pages of notes.
Yeah, it's like 3,500 pages.
Oh boy. That's fantastic. So today, for the very first time, I made available my Steve notes to Twitch subs, YouTube channel members, and all patrons. So that's one more thing you get. And of course, the big thing you get, access to Friendo Club TV. Yesterday, we had the Friendo Mod Extreme Rules Roundtable that you hosted because I was on vacation. I still haven't seen that yet, but I might check it out later on today. Today, of course, is Pin, Lose, or Draw. You could win a bad digital sketch from me.
Yes.
And also, just before we get started here, for those of you who, I know you and I are on slightly different timetables because they're different things, but for those of you who donated for the custom wrestling artwork at the Friendo Fest 2 live stream, I'm about over halfway done. I think this weekend I'm actually going to take the first 16 that I've done and run over, get those printed out, and start sending those out, and then I'll take care of the second half hopefully over the next couple of weeks. So I appreciate everybody's patience.
Yes, and my apologies for being kind of slow for those of you who got the custom theme option. My apologies for being kind of slow. I kind of underestimated the time necessary to put these together. That's my bad. Had some things going on in here in the Larson house have kind of slowed me down. So, but I'm trying to get back on a good pace and get at least one of them done a week. That's my goal. I got 3 in the can. I got a 4th one about halfway done that I'm going to try to finish this weekend, plus an idea for another one that I just need to sit and lay the tracks down.
One last plug before we get started. FriendoMerch.com. We now got Friendo Club masks. All the states are all requiring the stuff, man. A lot of great shops, Walmart, Kroger.
Georgia's not.
Which one of the governors? Didn't one of the governors get test positive?
Oh, I didn't hear about that. I just know the governor of Georgia signed some sort of thing that says counties and towns can't mandate people wear masks.
Well, hopefully people are coming to their senses at this point, man. I'd like to think that at some point
I would like to hope so, but then I look at the news and it doesn't seem like it.
So
I read 70% of people wear masks.
What's that?
I've read somewhere that there's a poll and 70% of people are apparently are wearing masks at least most of the time.
Oklahoma's governor tested positive.
Wow.
I hope that continues to rise. I see a ton of masks out there, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
So hopefully people will start coming around to their senses. Anyways, the episode of NXT this week started with the entire NXT men's roster recording cameos for Keith Lee. Boy,
Matt chat questions, yeah.
That must have been a bundle on Cameo to get cameos from Finn Balor in black and white, no less.
Yeah, Finn's cameo looked great.
It did. John Gargano. Yeah, he gets the Joshua Martinez Award for most wonderfully lit cameo. John Gargano, pretty much everybody at some point said the name Keith Lee, and they cut a lot of the lower card people into they just Keith. And so
Lee, yeah.
The point is, he has a massive, and this is what Balor basically said, you got a huge target on your back now, maybe more than anybody in history, because he is Keith Two Belts.
Yeah, and Keith Lee mentioned that in the promo that opened up the show.
Yeah. So, Keith Lee comes down to cut a promo, but before that, Alabama asked me to put on Moana. I did that,
That's
and then I
movie.
said, you're welcome. Keith Lee asked the ring announcer to
Did you
repeat.
sing it to her?
What's that?
Did you sing it to her?
What, you're welcome?
You're welcome.
No,
Yeah.
that was just a little joke I made here in the notes. I didn't.
Yeah, no, I
actually
get the
say
joke. That's
welcome.
why I asked if you sang it.
Yeah. I just said, are you good now? I got stuff to do. That's actually what I said. You good now? I got stuff to do. Oh, man. Distance learning is going to be a pain this year, man. So the ring announcer announces Keith Lee. He comes out and he says, hey, can you say that again, please, because it sounds really cool. He says he's at a crossroads now. The last few months have been difficult for everybody. He understands that. He says, but you know what? Something really special can happen right here in the ring, and I feel it when I stand here with these titles. He sort of lays them down on his feet. He says, I stand here before you, double champion, but back to reality. That locker room is filled with friends, enemies, frenemies. They want that opportunity that I got. I love this next bit, man, because I was so on board with it. He says, there is no such thing as a self-made man. I love that philosophy so much because it's totally true, and he explains why. He talks about all the people that were integral in getting him to where he is. He acknowledges his trainer, Tim Brooks. He says, without him believing in me, I never would have made it to where I am. He talks about the WWE Universe, how they got behind him from day one. And he brings up one more person, Dominik Dijakovic. He says, get out here and let's chat.
Yeah, his number one frenemy, as Keith Lee put it.
Yeah.
So Dijakovic hits the ring, tells Keith that no one is more proud of him than he is, and said, but it's not about me, it's about you, Keith. And Keith goes, no, I disagree. It's about you too. It's about both of us. And then Keith Lee says it's because of their rivalry that he got the opportunity. Their rivalry propelled him to greater opportunities. And he says, Dijakovic, you're the one individual who tested my limits like no one else has. So the best way to represent these titles is to do the thing that I love, and that's compete. So he said, I talked to Regal, and I suggested that my first challenger for both these titles should be, yeah, that's right, Dominik Dijakovic.
Yeah, that's right.
And Dijak's, well, when do you want to do it? And Keith is like, well, I'm in my gear right now. Let's have the match tonight. And Dijak seems kind of hesitant.
Yeah.
Well, and then Keith goes, shh. Just say yes. And Dijak says, all right, fine.
He says,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Magic 8 Ball says, looking pretty good. I'll have this match tonight.
So there, of course, was the rumor that he had been called up to Raw, but then, of course, that happened right as Paul Heyman was released as executive director. I had wondered, okay, is this like an audition, like a re-audition for Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon by Triple H saying, hey, this guy totally should be called up.
Yeah.
Here's a refresher for you. But Dijak was so like meek in the ring, hey, yeah, this is your moment. I'm proud of you. You're good. And then when he was like, hey, here's your chance, he was like, okay, tonight, really? And he's like, yeah, that's right.
Part of me, it partly felt like too that Dijak didn't know this was happening.
I got that feeling also. I totally got that feeling.
So when he was hesitant, maybe it wasn't he was in character hesitant to accept the challenge. He didn't know it was happening. He wasn't sure if he should accept the challenge or not because he wasn't told what was supposed to happen later on.
It really had that feeling, which I was on one hand very effective, on the other hand kind of lacking in drama because he was like trying to figure out like you could see the process going on in his head. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. Maybe he's a method actor, but it did kind of feel like, hey, Keith, go out there and surprise him with what's going to happen here, and they just told Dijak just go with it. I don't know. I have no idea, but I don't know. I thought it was a pretty cool moment. But in terms of like, if Triple H told Vince, hey, pay attention to this guy tonight, maybe just relegate it to the match and not this promo because he just came off as like, just too mild mannered.
Yeah.
After that, we had Damien Priest versus Cameron Grimes, and this this is a fun match, man. I like this stuff. Priest came out strong against Cameron Grimes, but before too long, Grimes got control. Then we had another ad. Boy, Shaq-a-Roni was all over the commercials for NXT last night. Mm-hmm. Dude, do you think that like just a lot of pepperoni, like too much pepperoni, is like a really good selling point for a pizza?
Well, they show the actual pizza doesn't look like it's anywhere close to too much pepperoni. You know, it's supposed to have double cheese, double pepperoni. Obviously, the double cheese isn't of great interest to me. It'll hurt my tummy. I love myself some pepperoni, especially on a pizza pie.
Yeah.
But when I make my own pizza, there's like I put the pepperoni on so thick that there's got to be at least a half a pepperoni overlap, from piece to piece.
Oh,
so I'm not like putting one here and then giving it a half inch of space, another pepperoni. There's overlap between each and every slice of pepperoni.
Yeah.
And so when I look at something that's supposed to have double pepperoni and I see spaces between the pepperoni,
right,
that's not enough pepperoni.
It should be a sea of pepperoni and no cheese to be found.
Well, I mean, I understand people like cheese, just a sprinkle of cheese. Hell, if you want extra cheese, whatever, more power to you. For me, I'd just probably say, hold on the extra cheese. First of all, I'm not getting Papa John's, so I don't really like their pizza. But I like Shaq.
Yeah, that's
Shaq's,
the thing.
You name a pizza after Shaq, I'll at least listen.
Yeah, that's my thing. Hey, they've got my attention with naming it after Shaq. And him being in the commercials and him surprising people with an iPad inside of a pizza. I mean, really, I'd be down for a second iPad if it let me FaceTime with Shaq.
White Brownie 92 has a good point. The pizza you see on TV is not what you get in reality, and that is very much true.
Okay, well, yeah. Part of that 500 sub 24-hour stream involves me ordering a Shaq-a-Roni.
All right.
Yeah. Anyways, I mean, I think that's a huge selling point right there. Dole out those subs, people. Out of commercial, Priest is on the comeback. More back and forth. He hits a razor's edge on the apron. He was going for a choke slam, but Grimes got out of that. He hits a razor's edge on the apron. That looked bad.
Yeah, that sucked.
Gets a huge flatliner, gets him 2. Grimes rolls up, gets a 2. He does that weird. Does he have a name for that thing? The Spanish fly flipping power slam?
Like the shooting star press Spanish fly power slam. Not that I'm aware of, but it looks neat.
Yeah, it looks real, especially the big dude like Priest. Mm-hmm. So the finish saw Grimes. He goes for a cave-in, but he gets hung up in the ropes because Priest evades. Priest gives him a big kick to his head and hits a reckoning for the win.
It was like a draping reckoning off the second rope.
That
looked nasty. That was fun.
Really cool. And so
the key to the reckoning, the key to hitting that reckoning or crossroads, because it's the same move, is you really got to plant your opponent on the top of their head.
It's on the opponent to spike themselves.
Exactly. Because when Cody used to do it in WWE, I used to see the moves like, it doesn't look devastating. But since he's been doing AEW and everybody's been spiking their heads into the mat form, it looks way more devastating.
It looks really messed up. Yeah. They do a good job with that. So anyways, afterwards.
Sorry, to be interrupt. Match hasn't happened yet. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
So one cool thing, after the match, as Priest is putting back on his Scott Hall vest, he looks in the camera, sweaty, out of breath. Hey, Dijak. Hey, Lee. I'm interested in whoever wins your match now, so I can keep building my momentum.
Live in infamy.
Yeah. After that, Io Shirai shows up at Full Sail, and then we get another lesson of Thatch as Thatch can, man.
Yeah, these are great.
I love these.
So he says, I'm going to review the lesson I taught Oni Lorcan at Great American Bash. Through every submission, there is something to be learned. So he's got one of his students in a Fujiwara arm bar. Says right here, he's tapping. But I feel like this particular student needs to learn more. Leans back into it. He's like, you hear him crying?
He says, yeah, go ahead.
He goes, he releases conclusion of class. He says, here, you did that not only have you won the match, but you left a message that will last a lifetime. A tap out is an education, but making your opponent cry in pain is pure satisfaction.
He says, just ask Oni Lorcan.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
That was pretty good.
After that, we had Shotzi Blackheart versus Indi Hartwell. And Indi actually had control for much of this match. They booked her pretty strong from early on.
They did. And then Tom Phillips is now Robert Stone fan.
Well, yeah. Tom was showing some predilections towards the Robert Stone brand tonight, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. He was laying into Shotzi about running him over with the tank.
Yeah, he was pretty much a Robert Stone apologist, you could say.
Apologist, yeah, exactly. So at one point, Shotzi had a comeback. Indi had like that reverse Danielson stomp type submission thing, whatever that's called. But Shotzi powered out, stages her comeback. But then Robert Stone comes stumbling out, selling his leg, his tank run over leg, as Shotzi hits a corner DDT. Shotzi goes up top as Stone distracts the ref. Aaliyah pushes Shotzi off the top, and Indi hits a big boot to get the win over Shotzi Blackheart. So, pretty quick match, and just to set up more of a rivalry between Shotzi and Aaliyah there.
Definitely. Next, we had a Tegan Nox interview. She's asked what's it going to take for her to beat Io. She said, a wise man once said, "See an obstacle, jump over it." Io is that obstacle. And then Tegan talks about how she's worked too hard, traveled too far. Tonight is going to be her night to join the likes of Kane and Molly Holly as champions. It's her night tonight.
What an interesting duo to be. Obviously, she calls herself Lady Kane. She does a choke slam. Kane and Molly Holly. Those are her two big people coming up, I guess.
Inspirations.
That she really liked. An interesting duo right there. I loved this next bit. It was Legado del Fantasma.
Oh, this is really good.
They're getting toasted in the lobby, man. They're at some hotel lobby, sitting down, having drinks. They toast to the end of Drake Maverick. And what's his face? Santos is like, the only reason he still has a job is because he went crying on YouTube. Raul talks some shit about Breezango. And then Santos says, Lucha Libre, it's not a fiesta, it's an art. He's like, it's not a party, it is an art. And then he starts to, I'm really glad he did this. He starts talking up, his sidekicks there in LDF.
Oh, yeah.
Raul Mendoza, Joaquin Wilde. He calls Raul, the mechanical assassin or something like that. And then he talks about Joaquin Wilde and what he can do. I really like that. I like that it wasn't just him talking to voiceless sidekicks. They talked also, and that's important. Yeah, they're a team, exactly.
And the performances across the board were all really good.
They were really good. It was really well produced, really well shot. And he says, I've taken the Cruiserweight Championship from the sideshow to the main show. I love that. He says, sometimes you have to tear things down to build them up, talking about the Cruiserweight division. This was really, really cool, man.
It was really cool. It was really cool.
After that, I made some breakfast, according to Steve.
Oh, okay. It was a pretty quick Keith Lee wins all video package. Some tweet reactions from across the Twitterverse in advance of our match next. Yeah, that's right. Dominik Dijakovic taking on Keith Lee. This is all about the fact these two guys know each other really well. And as Keith Lee put it, frenemies, friends, yet still rivals.
Yeah.
So there's a couple instances, several instances, in fact, where they would square off, stalemate would ensue. The first time that happened, Dijak extends his hand to Keith Lee. Keith Lee shakes it, but as he's shaking it, pulls in Dijak, headlock. Later on, same thing would happen. Dijak would extend his hand, but then this time, as Keith Lee reaches out to accept it, Dijak chops him. Lee responds, overhand double chop.
The thing that I really loved about this match is that they did such a great job. It was obvious the story was Dijak can no longer handle Lee. And that's never been the case before. He's always come this close, but he's always, as Lee has even said, taken him to his limits. But you could even see at the beginning of this, from the start, Keith Lee projected confidence and Dijak projected uncertainty. He was like, man, this is like I'm really understanding this is going to be a lot more difficult than it was in the past. And even in the past, I couldn't, I know he's gotten a win over Keith Lee in the past, but by and large, Keith Lee has had the advantage. But no, I thought they told this story really, really well. And like you said, it was two guys who know each other, but one guy has taken it to another level, and the other guy is sort of, I'm not going to say left behind necessarily, but it's
still trying to get to that level. Yeah,
he's still not at that level.
And that played out in the match too, because Keith Lee hits this draping corkscrew flatliner deal on Dijak that I hadn't seen him do before. Yeah, and it was awesome.
Yeah, That was rad. Up top, Dijak hits a blockbuster, gets 2. A cyclone boot gets a 2, goes for a forearm. And Lee he just shoots him down with that double hand chop. He hits that big. What is that? Is that like a choke slam and an uranagi? Like when he just brings somebody up so high up.
It's kind of like a choke slam spine buster type thing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So he hits that, and then he gets the Big Bang Catastrophe for a 3. They share a moment in the ring, but the lights go down. Scarlett shows up with a sack of something. And then the crowd, I really like this. The crowd started doing like a weird stomping thing.
I think they're banging against the
Okay, that's what it
plexiglass.
was. Yeah. It was really effective because they had like the spotlight on her and on Lee. Dijak sort of gets out of the way, and she dumps the contents of the sack in the ring. I'm assuming, was this the broken hourglass?
It's the broken hourglass that Lee destroyed a few weeks back.
Okay, that's what I figured it was, but I was like, what? Is it like a busted VCR or something? She want Lee to fix it? So anyways, he sort of smiles, and she walks away. She stops, looks back at him, just to make sure that he understands that this is a broken hourglass, I guess.
What the message that's being sent, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So out of a commercial, we get a Dijak interview, and he's like,
that's right.
He's like, holy crap, Keith Lee. Oh, wow. He's great.
I think he said I barely even recognized him out there.
Yeah. He sold it. He sold it so good. He was like, man, Karrion Kross, he is nowhere near this level, which brings up Karrion Kross. Larson, what did Karrion Kross say at this point?
I have no idea.
So given that Dijak knew what he said, I'm assuming it's in a language that Dijak knows.
Chat help me please. Is it
Croatian? I
thought he had like the crest of from the Croatian flag on his tights at one point.
He went through a period. Okay,
Alex C says Croatian, yeah. Okay.
So, he went through a period where he was talking up his Croatian heritage quite a bit, that they sort of like had him go in and out of sometimes, and they sort of dropped it. I thought this was rad that Karrion Kross did this because he sounded really cool. And the fact that Dijak knew what he's talking about, he's like, okay, let's do it. And then he tries to leave. Bad move on his part because Karrion Kross blindsides him. They brawl backstage a little bit, and then Kross dumps Dijak to the ground and says tick-tock. So that should be a hell of a match next week. This is going to be for me anyways, I'm going to pay really close attention to this match.
This is make or break for Steve for Killian Kross, it feels like.
Kind of, man, because I think that if anybody can put on an interesting match with this guy, it's going to be Dijak. They better not chump him out in like 3 minutes. At least have him put up some sort of fight against this guy, so I can see that this guy can actually wrestle on a takeover level. You know what I mean? Like I need to get some hint of that if I'm going to care about this stuff. And I still don't know. I mean, I don't. That's not going to be the match at Takeover, is it? Kross versus Keith Lee. I mean, they're already setting this up.
Yeah, I know. I just hope they take their time with it.
Yeah, but Takeover.
Yeah, because I guess it's in August. It's a month. It's a month and a week from now. I guess the expectation is if this match were to happen, is that Karrion Kross would win. But what if he doesn't? What if this is all set up to build up Keith Lee even more?
Oh, don't even broach that subject because it just gets my hopes up too much. It would be the stupidest thing in the world for them to job out Keith Lee 6 weeks after he wins these titles.
That's what I'm saying. And I think maybe that's the expectation that we're all operating under is they just brought Karrion Kross in. It seems like they're incredibly high on him. That they see star written all over him. He comes in, just lays a path of destruction down with the expectation, because we are all used to the various formulas and tropes used in pro wrestling. We know this, and we know when we see this happen, usually that means someone comes in, lays waste to everybody. They come and destroy the champion. Their champion, heat, and more heat. What if they know that, set that all up to be the case, and he and Lee have like a hell of a takeover match, but in the end, Lee still wins.
I like that. You could be right. You could be completely right. They might be playing with expectations. NXT, the booking there can be very clever sometimes. After that, we had some Thatch's Thatch Can match. Timothy Thatcher versus Denzel Dejournette. This is a straight up wrestling match.
It was.
this was a lot of fun to watch, man. I'm sure Cal probably marked out over this match because it was a straight up wrestling match. Denzel got some offense in, but in the end, Thatch submitted him with was it single leg crab?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so he taps out after the match. Of course, Thatch is not done. He locks it back in. He's not letting go. Oni Lorcan in some like Kmart jeans comes running down.
Man. No shirt.
And no shirt. Man, I can't wait for this rematch. I'm so glad they're keeping this going.
He was in Shane Thorne's old outfit.
Yeah, he was. He was.
So Shane Thorne used to show up in.
Except I didn't notice the deep V going with Oni Lorcan. Maybe I just wasn't looking for it.
I didn't notice that either.
Shane Thorne had the deepest of V's going.
I know.
It was like almost like a half inch away from top of shaft.
Yeah, I know.
Not good.
After that, we had Robert Stone. He was like in the lobby of Full Sail with the camera crew. He's like, "Come on, follow me. I want this to be documented." He runs into Killian Dain. He starts like effusively apologizing to Killian. Said, "I had a bad day. I just got run over the tank. It's all Shotzi's fault. I'm sorry." And then Aaliyah runs in with a drawing that Dexter Lumis apparently did of all the stuff that happened to Great American Bash, including Stone getting run over by Tank. And there's a bit of Dain with coffee getting dumped on him.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, Dain re-enters, grabs the picture, and says, "All right, Stone, if you want to make up for throwing that coffee on me, you get me a match with Dexter Lumis." And Stone's like, "All right, yeah, sure, yeah, okay, yeah." And then it was confirmed. Next week, Killian Dain versus Dexter Lumis.
What a motivation for a match. This guy simply didn't like what was a fairly innocuous image of him drawn by a caricature of him. Maybe he doesn't like
Dexter
caricatures.
Lumis was simply documenting events.
This is like the hieroglyphics days. You know, that's how they used to document events, is via drawings. Dexter Lumis is simply referencing millennia old tradition, Larson.
Okay.
Killian Dain was not into it, though.
No. Also confirmed next week, Karrion Kross versus, yeah, that's right, Dominik Dijakovic.
That's right. Going to be an Arby's night for Killian Kross. I said Killian Kross.
I did say Killian Kross.
I think you said that a couple times,
Probably.
too.
I have a hard time getting Kross's name right.
Killian Kross, yeah. After that, we had our... Oh, also, did you mention the Rhea Ripley tweet thing? Said she's done with Robert Stone.
No.
Yeah, so she tweeted. It was very much later days fun wrestling, Steve W, where we just told stories via tweets. So she said she's done with the Robert Stone brand. I wonder if she's actually got
the title. Yeah.
Wonder if she's actually got confirmation of this in the back office, or she's just tweeting this out. Like, man, I got to get out of this comedy shit, so I'm just gonna tweet this out.
Maybe.
See what happens.
I mean, how many times has like Hogan taken 2 interviews or social media to try to will things into existence?
It worked for him. You know, he said he said Bret Hart couldn't lace up his boots when Hogan wasn't even under contract, and then it happened, and then he won the title. So after that, yeah, we had our main event: Tegan Nox versus Io Shirai. We sort of talked about this at the jump. Shirai got the early advantage, and that never ended. It was the early advantage.
Apart from a few minute sequence where Io charges Tegan ringside, Tegan gets out of the way, so Io gives the ring steps a couple double knees.
Yeah, but immediately when Tegan Nox put her back in the ring, within moments, Shirai had the advantage again.
Yeah, it was not a terribly competitive match. That's to say Tegan didn't get some offense in. She did. She goes for the shiniest wizard as she charges Io. Io gets up, palm strike, moonsault, get the win.
Yeah. And then right after that, so she's fighting a good guy here, and then she goes back up to the top of the ramp and gets annihilated by a bad guy, Dakota Kai. That was a nasty kick, and that's how the episode concluded.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyways, Larson, would you like to answer some questions?
Yeah, sure.
I have myself a Patreon question thread here.
All right, we'll kick things off with Zondo's question, because I like debating about food stuff. Zondo says cheese is the main ingredient to pizza, and I think Jonathan has it right. Crust, as a percentage, is probably the main ingredient of pizza. Pizza is more crust than anything else. If you take the crust away from the pizza, it's not really a pizza.
That is technically true. That being said, crust is the least, in my opinion, the least defining element of pizza. The crust to me, while important, is not as important as the flavor of the sauce, the freshness of the mozzarella, and the toppings involved. The crust is merely the vessel by which those things...
It is, but a bad crust can sink a pizza.
I don't disagree with that either. Can't have it too doughy. Although I do actually kind of like a doughy crust. Oh, yeah, a burnt crust is the worst crust. I can agree with that. That's awful.
Yeah, so a bad crust could ruin a pizza. I mean, any one ingredient that's not right on a pizza could sink the whole enterprise.
But at the same time, look, here's the thing. At the same time, pizza is still pizza. I'll eat gutter trash pizza and probably still be happy because I love pizza regardless.
Yeah, pizza's good.
Wolfpack for Life has a wrestling question. He says, give 80s type gimmicks to current NXT wrestlers.
I mean, Damian Priest is character from Lost Boys.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I like that it's not even, I mean, it is an 80s type gimmick. It's not an 80s wrestling gimmick, but it is an 80s type gimmick.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, whoa. Hello. Who's there? Looks like we got 100 bits from somebody. Yeah, it came into the headphones here. Verthika says, I just want to tell you both that I personally appreciate the amazing community. I love you both so much, and I appreciate how you foster an inclusive environment, especially for trans and questioning individuals. You both have helped me so much and changed my life and my outlook. I was once upon a time a transphobic, hateful person, and you both have helped me learn the error of my ways. Thank you so much for being so awesome. Man, what an incredibly nice thing to say.
Yeah, that's very nice. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, honestly, the thanks goes to the Friendo community, man.
Mm-hmm.
Got a ton of great people here.
Mm-hmm. You got that right. So, sorry, what's the question again? 80s gimmicks or just 80? Is it 80s wrestling gimmicks or just gimmicks based on anything from the 80s?
So it's open ended as far as I'm concerned. It says 80s gimmicks, but that can mean wrestling or not.
I know he's a bit tall, but given the haircut, I feel like Dijakovic could fit right in like a Top Gun type thing.
Oh, wow. That's perfect.
He's super tall, though. He's probably too tall to be a fighter pilot.
Well, therein lies the comedy aspect of it, though.
I guess so.
That's great. I mean, the absurdity of Top Gun is well known anyways, man.
Yeah.
I still wonder how they're going to fit Val Kilmer into that movie, because apparently he's supposed to be in the sequel. And he's, he's doing well. He survived cancer. Mm-hmm. But he's got, I think, the voice thing going. Mm-hmm. He cannot talk very well. Mm-hmm. So I still say the premise of that movie should, the jets should be secondary, and primary should be, how is it Tom Cruise is not aged and everybody else in that universe has aged by 40 years? He looks the exact same. It's terrifying.
Virtually, he looks virtually the same.
Why is it nobody would point that out? They might make a slight joke about it, but honestly, scientifically, it's messed up.
Isn't that kind of what you want, though? You kind of want to live forever.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I should. If that's the case, I should become a Scientologist, because evidently, I'm sorry, you can say what you want about Scientology. The proof is in the pudding. That's the key. Look at Tom Cruise. The man hasn't aged. Scientifically, he's an anomaly, and if he credits Scientology, who am I to say he's lying?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's evidence to suggest that he's telling his own version of the truth.
War Machine MJ says, if Cesaro goes back to NXT, would you guys be down if he joins Imperium? Oh, wow. And holds down the fort as Walter's proxy? I'd be all about that.
That'd be pretty cool.
What a great idea.
Gareth Nicholas, Shotzi Blackheart has greatly improved in-ring from her Hood Slam days since arriving at the Performance Center. Do you think she has what it takes to eventually hold the NXT Women's title? 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's fantastic.
I think people, and here's my thing. She should be the first person to get a custom NXT title, to customize her title.
Yeah.
How that Stone Cold had the thing.
Yeah.
She should be that person.
Yeah.
Diehard Homer with the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much for that. We're on the road to 500 subs. 24-hour stream where Steve orders a Shakaroni pizza. Alex Foster. David Putty always goes for the high fives. Dijakovic kept going for handshakes tonight. At this point, is he in on the joke? It's entirely possible.
Yeah, who knows?
It's entirely possible.
Now, if he shows up with like a 8-ball jacket, then we'll know.
Man. Dude,
then we'll know.
Can we send him, how much is an 8-ball jacket?
I don't know.
because we have I'm gonna try my darndest. I have no idea. We're filming this before I actually put the intro in. I'm gonna try my darndest to put that Dijak intro back in. If we could somehow send him an 8-ball jacket,
that'd be something else.
Let's see here. Amazon.
While you look into that, Dang MQ says, I love the Thatch can as part of his entrance video. I know he's got a logo. Thatcher does. It says Thatch can on the side Titantrons.
That's great. I'm such a fan of his. So they have one for $60 on Amazon. Let's see here. Probably a 2XL for tall guy. I mean, it's like more closer to 85 because of shipping.
Is it leather?
Looks like
I would be surprised.
Yeah, it's leather.
Wow, that's a good deal. Does it look like the one Putty had?
Not as much. It's well. Here's the thing, though. It's a different. It's not yellow, green, red, black. It's actually kind of a cool looking one. It's black. It's like CSUN colors: black, white, and red. I'd send him that, dude. I'd send him that.
Well, something to think about. Chi-Town SD Grimes calls the Spanish Fly type move collision course. Now we know.
Oh my gosh. Pippa says the ratings are out. AEW's 5th in the demo. NXT is 49th in the demo. 49th.
Wow.
AEW beat in overall viewership as well, 788 to 631.
Wow.
I mean, that was a big. That was a big event. AEW is advertising, man. Yeah. Fight for the Fallen. Kind of goes to show. I mean, I don't know if you could do it week to week, like a different theme every week. But yeah, that the return of Mox and versus Brian Cage, that's a big selling point right there. Gregory Faella, who do you think should take the North American Championship from Keith Lee? So that was another thing we sort of glossed over, is the fact that he's defending both titles in a single match. So that seems to be the kind of thing that they're going to be doing. Is the 2 title thing. I wonder how long that's going to last. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. Alex C says, while still Cruiserweight champ, should Escobar go after Keith Lee? Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, how about this? Give Escobar all 3 titles.
Yeah. Nate says, I really think that if we got something like Legado del Fantasma last night with Seth's faction, it would make them so much more legit and have it make more sense as to why they're together. Agreed. Yeah. They've always kind of piecemealed the Seth faction beyond Buddy because of injuries and various other factors, you know?
I don't disagree that we could use... I mean, it just, with Legado del Fantasma, it's obvious that they want to bring up Raul and Joaquin Wilde. That's smart. With Seth's faction... Storyline-wise, it makes sense that Seth doesn't want to bring anybody up. He wants disciples. That being said, I think little vignettes, like we saw last night, where he's preaching his word to his followers, I think would be strong. I think that'd be good.
Yes. Zondo, will Lee versus Cross be winner take all, or will Lee have 2 matches?
I think it's going to be winner take all.
I think it'd be cool if he had 2 matches, like they had number 1 contender something, bouts, tournaments, whatever, for each belt. I think that'd be neat. I
think that'd be really cool. I hope they do. I want them to separate them at some point, or at least have them fought in their own divisions. I mean, I think didn't the UFC, when you had different guys carrying different titles, or when you had one guy with like 2 different divisions, and it's only happened a small handful of times.
Yeah, they had to defend that particular belt in that division. They couldn't do outside of the division. No.
Yeah. Let's see here. Owen Lynch, do you guys ever think Killian Dain will rise above his place on the card now? I don't know, and it wouldn't surprise me if he did not.
I think he's really good. I think he's got a ton of potential.
Yeah.
But NXT's so stacked with talent right now that, I don't know if I kind of feel like he's gotten passed by, unfortunately.
I agree. I could see him going to main roster at some point. Again, with his current gimmick, and maybe getting over more because he's a bigger guy, and main roster sort of likes bigger guys. So maybe that's a possibility. Let's see here. Steve Klain, what members of a tag team should have a singles match that you'd want to see? So I guess
against each other,
partner versus partner is what I'm assuming.
I know they're not exactly partners currently, but they used to be Roddy versus Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. That'd be a great match. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Colin Branch asks, was there crowd noise being piped in? If there was,
like piping in crowd noise for a while.
I have. To me, I have not noticed. It wouldn't surprise me if they have. If they have, they're doing it subtle enough that I don't notice it. I mean, to me, that's. I've said this a million times before. That's why NXT to me has changed the least, because they're still in Full Sail. They still have only a handful of people there. I know the Full Sail crowd was 400, and they have, like 50 in the crowd right now. But it just has, the presentation hasn't changed all that for me. It still kind of looks like NXT.
Yeah, Gareth Nicholas. Will Robert Stone ever have a successful brand, or is his gimmick just the perpetual chase for talent and always falling short?
Define successful.
Will he ever manage a champion?
Nope.
No.
Don't see that happening.
No. Nate, again, should we get Thatcher versus Lorcan in a fight pit? Heck yes.
Absolutely. I think that'd be great. Colin Branch again. What we need when COVID is over is Keith Lee versus Walter. Best 2 out of 3 falls match for all 3 titles. Man, could you imagine that at Worlds Collide?
That'd be incredible.
That'd be incredible.
Fear and Loathing, is Dijak going to get murdered like a best friend in an 80s movie by Cross?
Oh, wow. Is Dijak going to... How great would that be if Dijak was Apollo Creed to Cross's Drago?
Mm-hmm.
And Keith Lee was out there in Dijak's corner, like watching it happen.
That'd be something else, man.
Throw the damn towel. Oof, didn't matter. That was... Watching that as a 8-year-old on the big screen... I didn't know what death was before that, Larson.
Yeah.
That movie taught me about death. I think
that movie taught you a lot about life, huh?
I honestly really think it did.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, a star that bright can be just like that, taken out.
In an instant.
Man.
White Brian 92, EO responded to Dakota Kai with, "You're dead," and Kai replied with, "You're already dead."
Wow. Shirai should respond with, "Well, you're dead est." Just get stupid with it.
And then turn around and walk away.
Exactly.
Jorge D, should the Cruiserweight Championship be defended on all brands like the women's tag belts? No, just defended on NXT.
Yeah. James Fletcher, if you could see any passed away wrestler return, who would it be, and who would the top 3 you would want them to wrestle currently? What a nightmare shock situation that is. Oh my God, Eddie Guerrero's back from the dead. What does this mean? I mean, it'd be Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd want to see him against, I don't know. Daniel Bryan.
That's good.
Zack Sabre Jr. and
okay.
Kazuchika Okada.
Okay, I want Macho Man back and just have him wrestle in New Japan. Give me Macho Man against Kota Ibushi. That's what I want to see.
That's great. Oh yeah, Ichiban right here. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Patrick Oliva says basically they're going to do Rocky 4 with Lee, Dijak, and Cross, right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. I love that movie. It's almost good as Top Gun. Well, let's see here. Jose Cruz. Given their Twitter exchange, how awesome would it be if Roman comes back for one night to challenge Keith Lee? I wouldn't feel good about it because Roman's been very anti, getting the COVID. It'd be great, but I want to see Roman back when Roman's happy to be back.
Yes.
But yeah, it'd be great.
White Brian 92, WrestleMania Dream Match. Who goes over, MacGyver or MacGruber?
Well, MacGruber does the job for sure.
Yeah.
I got to watch that movie. Maybe if they have it on Amazon Prime, we should do a MacGruber watch along during our 24-hour stream.
Sounds good.
Between that, me ordering a Shaq-a-Roni and we book WrestleMania 37 or whatever.
That feels like 4 hours of it. Yeah.
Still have 20 hours left, dude.
I know. Thank you, Diehard Homer, for the sub.
I got one last question here from Willie Powerbottom. Says, TakeOver should be Lee versus Cross twice in one night. First match for the NA title, Cross completely destroys Lee and wins the North American title. Later on in the night, Lee barely escapes with the NXT title after being destroyed once again. This way, Cross still looks dominant, doesn't get any go-away heat because he gets the NXT title so soon. What do you guys think? I'm not against that idea of the 2 titles. I'm not sure about Cross destroying Lee. I never want to see that. Keith Lee should never be destroyed. Yes. And in fact, I kind of like your idea, Larson, of them setting up Killian Cross in this manner, only for him to lose to Keith Lee. I think that's great.
Yeah, Diehard Homer would Dijak dress up as Putty if NXT had their annual costume battle royal.
Oh, man.
I would like to hope so.
I would hope so. Pacific State 7 here in Twitch chat says Wrath of Khan for 24-hour stream. That we still have 18 hours left to book. So, yeah.
Or is he suggesting that we just watch it for 24 hours straight?
Over and over again?
Yeah.
I'd do that.
Yeah, I'd do that too.
I'd do that in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Favorite customer is a multiple man title match. The only way to get one of those titles off Keith Lee, something like where the first fall is for the North American title and the second fall is for the NXT belt, something like that.
Sure. That all sounds good. I like it all. Alex C says, does anybody else prefer the name Killian Cross now? Yeah, that's just how I'm going to say it from now on. I can try my damnedest to say Karrion Cross and then not try to say Killer Cross. The sad fact is his name is now Killian Cross.
Guess so.
Rolls off the tongue really well.
Pontius Olsen says, a moment of bliss with mystery guest confirmed for SmackDown.
Do they even know who that's going to be?
I would think so.
Vince
Otherwise,
is like,
they wouldn't
hey,
announce the segment.
Bruce, we need a segment right here. And he's like,
Enforcer Stevie Bradley says, unsolved mysteries when Larson needs a nap.
Okay, that's good. I'll bring Enforcer on. And then what are you going to do when I need a nap? Music stream?
Yeah, sure, why not?
There you go. That's good.
There we go.
I like it a lot. Cool. Any more questions?
That's all I got.
No more questions. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. We got a news brief coming up later on today. And of course, pin, loser, draw.
Yeah,
that should be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button. Till next time, we'll talk to you later. Twitch chat. Stay tuned. We're going to see who to raid. Thanks for watching.
Bye.